This is the Sloan ST-2459 toilet. The first generation, actually, made from the early 2010s up until circa 2018, when it would be redesigned into its second generation. Oh boy, I have a lot to say about these, and none of it's positive. I usually like to dub these knockoff Kohler high crest, and you might be thinking to yourself, this looks or is not even remotely close to a Kohler high crest. You are exactly right, but I'm referring it to different ways, in terms of sucking, that is. But is it even worse? Let's find out. So the overall design is painfully generic, and I don't really have much to say about it. It is very plain. The trapway opening is basically this U shape with a siphon jet towards the middle of it that pokes out. I also gotta say how weird the bulb looks outside the exterior design. It looks like a round bowl toilet, but no, it's not. It's elongated, and it's just how the bowl's made. It just looks kind of cursed, honestly. Let's have a look at a flush. It is very crappy and very plain. It's also very annoying too. So one of the main comparisons to the Kohler high crest I like to make is the loud flushing sound. It's very irritating and it makes a lot of squeaking noises. I'll demonstrate it again. I don't know if it's something wrong with the rim jets, but it sounds annoying. Another aspect of the Kohler high crest I like to compare this to is the pulling factor being absolute garbage. Now, it was pretty crap on the Kohler high crest, but on this, it is so much worse. No matter how long the flush is, this thing will shred most of the time. Even worse than the Kohler high crest. Even on higher pressure, it will shred, which is ridiculous. Performance is nowhere near as terrible as the Kohler high crest, but it is still not good at all. This thing is pretty well known for clogging every now and then, and while it's not completely terrible at performance, it's still pretty bad. And the trapway opening doesn't really help things out either. Now let's have a look at bowl runs. As you can tell, it's pretty crap. It has straight down rim jets, which doesn't help anything, and it seems to miss some areas pretty well. You can tell by those gaps. And that is the first generation Sloan ST-2459 toilet. A completely garbage toilet that has every aspect of the Kohler high crest I hate, but now it's wall hung and generic. But let's put this toilet into the grading scale. Let's grade it. Can I just mention how much I hate the overall design of this toilet? It's so stupid looking for a commercial toilet. Not only does it look super cheap, it looks like a round bowl toilet. Technically speaking, this is elongated, but you know where I'm coming from. If you just remove the seat, you might think this is a round bowl toilet. It's so stupid looking and I hate looking at it. It gets a free. This thing has so many quality control issues, it's not even funny. From the unorganized flushes, to the pulling factors, to the bowl rinse, to the performance. I can go on and on, but we'll save those for the individual categories. But safe to say, it sucks. It gets a 2. Something that you'll see a trend here is that the most consistent looking toilets are generally some of the worst toilets. This is unfortunately one of those cases where I have to give the consistency a 9 because it's pretty dang consistent. The trapway is painfully generic, but I definitely think the major problem I see here is the trapway opening being a little bit more smaller than it looks. It looks tight in some areas, but outside of that, I give it a 4. Where to begin with the flush? Now you're probably thinking I'm going to criticize the straight down bowling flush. That's not really the case. You're probably thinking we're going to criticize the annoying squeaking noises which many of these things have. That could be a factor, but that's more of a rim jet problem more than anything. The main issue I have with this flush is just how sloppy it looks. It's way too fast, It's way too unorganized. It looks like it wants to do a million things at once. And don't even get me started on the crazy rim jets. It looks ridiculous. The flush itself is pretty crap though. I give it a 3. I don't know what's up with the pulling factor on this thing, but it is trash. Like, absolute trash. No matter what pressure this is on, low pressure, high pressure, even middle of the road pressure, this thing will most likely shred. This likely has to do with both the trapway opening and the crazy unorganized flush. I honestly do not understand how something like this shreds as much as it does, but it does, and it scores a 2. The performance is also pretty bad too. It's not the worst in the world, but due to the trapway opening as well as just everything about this toilet, these things have been known for clogging every so often, and that's not a very good look for this thing. I give it a 4. The ball rinse, unsurprisingly, is garbage. Most of the ramjets are angled down and miss the ball entirely. It's just more of a straight stream down for most of the ramjets, while other ramjets seem to go off into Narnia and miss the ball entirely. The back rim seems to at least have functioning ramjets, but like I said, they're straight down that it misses most of the areas, and the ball rinse ends up being complete garbage in return. I really hate this ball rinse. It gets a 2. Survivability of these things are pretty low. I mean, look at how many issues this thing has. It gets a 3. Let's talk about the non-existent value of this piece of garbage. Now I know I've ragged on the Kohler Highcrest a lot because it's a pretty awful toilet that's teetering towards worthless. But that toilet in comparison to this abomination doesn't even compare to the level of worthlessness that this thing offers. Where to begin? This thing is just loaded with so many problems. I don't even know where to start. The flush is just so unorganized and choppy. The pulling factor is garbage on any power level. The ball rinse sucks. The rim jets are so unorganized and make squeaking noises. The performance isn't even that good. There's not one good thing about this toilet at all. And this shows exactly why Sloan should stick to making flushometers and not toilets. Because this thing is pretty worthless. This thing scores a 2. The final score of the first generation Sloan ST-2459 model toilet is a 34 out of 100. Fun fact, it has 2 less compared to the score of the Kohler Highcrest. Technically speaking, it's a lot worse compared to the Kohler Highcrest, but I would never use either one of them. This thing has so many ridiculous design flaws and design choices that it's not even funny. There is not one good thing about this worthless piece of garbage at all. It looks stupid. It is stupid. I really hope Sloan just goes back to making flushometers because why waste your time with this waste of porcelain?